Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Today we will learn about chapter 2, subtopic 2.1, prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, and 2.2, cell membrane and organelles. For learning outcome 2.1, students should be able to the principles of cell theory are: number 1, all organisms are composed of one or more cells. Number 2, new cells are produced from the earlier cell through cell division. Number 3, cell is a unit in which all metabolic processes take place. And the last one, each cell carries heritable or genetic information that can be passed on to the daughter cell during cell division. This slide shows diagram of prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cell for plant and animal cells. Prokaryotic cells is a cell that is not enclosed by nuclear membrane. Typical structures of prokaryotic cell: fimbriae, chromatophore, circular DNA, polyribosome or polysome, ribosome, capsule, pilus, mesosome, plasma membrane, cell wall, flagellum, plasmid, and the last one is cytoplasm. In this slide, shown that not all bacteria have all the structure labeled in red, which is cytoplasm, ribosomes, plasma membrane, and DNA, are found in all bacteria. The left diagram here show drawing diagram, while the right diagram show the micrograph diagram. Structure of prokaryotic cells: small in size, has no membrane-bound organelles, contains small-sized ribosome for protein synthesis. For the next slide, show the structure and function of prokaryotic cell, starting with capsule until plasmid. The cell wall of prokaryotic characterizes different types of bacteria, which is gram-positive and gram-negative. The layer of peptidoglycan in gram-positive is more thick here compared to gram-negative, which is less thick. Eukaryotic cell is a cell that have true nucleus. Typical structure of eukaryotic cell for animal cell. Structure of eukaryotic cell. The first one is generally big in size, has various membrane-bound organelles, and DNA as genetic material. For cell size comparison, prokaryotic cell is smaller in size compared to eukaryotic cell, which is larger in size. This slide shows DNA structure of eukaryotic cells. The structure of eukaryotic cell is supported by cytoskeleton, which give the cell shape. There are two structures of eukaryotic cell that you have to know, which is the first one is cell wall, and the second one is flagella. This slide shows the structure of flagella with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plus 2 microtubules arrangement. For subtopic 2.2, cell membrane and organelles, for learning outcome, students should be able to show the detailed structure of typical plant and animal cell and state the organelle present, and show the structure of plasma membrane based on fluid mosaic model. This slide shows diagram of animal cell. The organelle you have to know is number 1, endoplasmic reticulum, which consists of rough ER and smooth ER, centrosome, mitochondrion, lysosome, Golgi apparatus or Golgi body, ribosomes, and the last one is nucleus. Typical structure of animal cell that label with cytoplasm, nucleus, cell membrane, nuclear membrane, nucleolus, and nucleoplasm. This slide shows typical structure of animal cell that's seen under microscope. This slide shows diagram of plant cell, and the organelle that you need to know is nucleus, Golgi apparatus or Golgi body, mitochondrion, cell wall, rough endoplasmic reticulum, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, and the last one is chloroplast. In this slide, show a label diagram of typical structure of plant cell. And this slide show a typical structure of plant cell that's seen under light microscope. Now we go to the structure of plasma membrane and function of its component. This model named as fluid mosaic model. Structure of plasma membrane described based on fluid mosaic model by Singer and Nicholson. Main component of plasma membrane are lipids and proteins. There are two types of protein. Number one is intrinsic or integral protein that fully or partially embedded in phospholipid bilayer. The second one is extrinsic or peripheral protein that only attach to phospholipid bilayer. And structure of plasma membrane, the phospholipid bilayer as a basic structure. This slide shows diagram of plasma membrane. Outside of the cell is labeled as extracellular matrix, and inside of the cell is labeled as cytoplasm of cell. Next label is glycolipid that consists of carbohydrate chain and phospholipid. Glycoprotein that consists of component carbohydrate chain and protein. Carbohydrate chain, phospholipid bilayer, cholesterol that located between phospholipid, intrinsic or integral protein, and the last one is extrinsic or peripheral protein. Carbohydrate chain that attach to protein here, forming glycoprotein or known as glycoprotein, while carbohydrate chain attach to phospholipid, forming or known as glycolipid. This slide shows label diagram for plasma membrane of animal cell. If the question asks what is meant by fluid mosaic model, fluid, it means that phospholipids and proteins are able to move laterally or side by side. Mosaic are the arrangement of different proteins embedded or attached to phospholipid bilayer. Component of plasma membrane is phospholipids, which has hydrophilic head and hydrophobic tail regions. Okay, also known as amphipathic, which have both hydrophobic headwater and hydrophilic love water regions. There are two movements of phospholipids.
everyone, today we are going to learn Chapter 2, Subtopic 2.3 Cells are grouped into tissues and 2.4 Cell Transport. Learning outcomes. Students should be able to describe animal tissue and plant tissue. Cell is the basic unit of life. Tissue is a group of specialized cells that are similar in structure and carry out a specific function. Organ consists of different tissues grouped together and coordinate to carry out one or more particular functions. And the last one, organ system, consists of group of several different organs that work together to perform a specific function. There are 4 types of animal tissue. We look at epithelial tissues first. You can see cells are tightly arranged. There are 2 types of epithelial tissues. There are 3 types of simple epithelium and only 1 type of stratified epithelium. Number of layers: simple, stratified, cell-shaped, squamous, cuboidal, and columnar. Number 2, nervous tissues. Nerve cell or neuron can conduct electrical charge. Number 3, muscular tissues. There are 3 types of muscle cells: cardiac muscle, skeletal muscle, and smooth muscle. Number 4, connective tissues. Connective tissues can bind and support other tissues. There are 3 types in our syllabus: cartilage, bone, and blood. Compact bones surround the spongy bone. Hyaline cartilage provide flexible support and shock absorption. Blood. Plasma consists of liquid and serum. Cellular elements consist of erythrocyte, which is red blood cell, leukocyte, white blood cell, and thrombocyte, platelet. Next, we are going to learn about plant tissues. Classification of plant tissues. We look at meristem tissues first. Meristem tissues consist of thin cell wall, small vacuole, and large nucleus. Meristem tissues can divide and differentiate. Next, permanent tissues. Ground tissue, yellow color. Vascular tissue, purple color. Dermal tissue, white color. We look at ground tissue first. Ground tissue divide into Number 2, vascular tissue. 2 main components of xylem: trachea and vessel element. 2 main components of phloem: sieve tube, and companion cell. Next, we are going to learn about cell transport. Learning outcomes. Students should be able to overview the various transport mechanisms across the membrane. Passive transport. The movement of substance down concentration gradient without energy. There are three types of passive transport. Active transport. Movement of molecules against concentration gradient by using energy and transport protein. There are two types of active transport. Bulk transport divide into two. Endocytosis divide into two. We look at sodium-potassium pump. Sodium bind to protein. Phosphorylation of ATP causes protein change its conformation. Sodium release and potassium bind. Phosphate group release and protein change again. Potassium release and cycle repeats. Number 2. Bulk transport. There are two types of bulk transport. Endocytosis divide into two. That's all. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. How far do you understand this lesson? Let's check it.